You ever hear a name and just know there's a story behind it? Well, today we're diving into one of those, Afar 18. It sounds cool, right? But what's fascinating is that this one name seems to tell two completely different stories all at once. So let's break it down. What exactly is 18 East Bengal Afar 18? On one hand, you've got East Bengal. That name just screams history, right? It makes you think of this epic struggle for independence. But then you have 18, which sounds way more like a modern military unit, something you'd see today. So, which one is it? And that right there is the puzzle we're going to solve. Is this about the long, hard fight for a nation's freedom between 47 and 71? Or are we talking about a specific military battalion that came along much later, in 1982? Here's the spoiler. The amazing part is, it's both. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to start with that first part of the name, East Bengal. Now, this isn't just a spot on a map. You have to think of it as the very place, the crucible, where a whole new country was born. So let's do a quick history rewind. So picture this. It's 1947, the partition of British India. This region becomes East Pakistan. The crazy part? It's separated from West Pakistan by over 1,000 kilometers of another country, India. And that distance wasn't just physical. We're talking huge cultural and economic gaps. Tensions just simmered and grew. It kicked off with a language movement in 52, then ramped up into a massive demand for autonomy by 66. The breaking point? When the 1970 election results were flat out denied. That's when everything just exploded. In 1971, the Bangladesh Liberation War began, and from that fire, the independent nation of Bangladesh was born. Okay, so that whole incredible history, that's where the East Bengal part of the name comes from. It's essential context. But remember, that's only half the story. Now we gotta figure out what 18 is all about. And that brings us to the other half of the name, Afar 18. This isn't some abstract historical concept. Nope. This refers to something very real, very specific, a modern and, frankly, very distinguished infantry battalion in the Bangladesh Army. Right, so its official title is the 18th Battalion, the East Bengal Regiment. That nickname, Afar 18, is pretty awesome. It means the unyielding 18. And check out the founding date, February 1st, 1982. That's key because it puts the unit's birth well after independence. It's a direct descendant, a product of the National Army that was created out of that whole 1971 struggle. And every great unit has a motto, right? Theirs is Shakti, Shanti, Mukti, which translates to strength, peace, freedom. I mean, how perfect is that? It literally connects their job, their strength, with the very ideals the nation was founded on, finding peace and securing freedom. You know, it's easy to talk about a battalion as a thing, but it all started with a person. The guy who built this unit from the ground up, the one who gave it its first breath of life, was its founding commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel M.D. Abdus Salam. So they're called the unyielding. But what does that mean in practice? What do they actually do? Well, their mission is pretty much twofold. They operate at home, in the tough jungles of Bangladesh, and they also work on the global stage as international peacekeepers. So back home, these guys are basically a primary response unit. Think high readiness. They've had a huge role in counter-insurgency ops, that's basically specialized jungle warfare, in the super dense and difficult Chittagong hill tracts. They even led major operations like Operation Dabanal, which literally means wildfire. But it's not all about combat, not at all. They also step up to provide security during national elections, and they're on the front lines as first responders when those devastating floods and cyclones hit Bangladesh. Then you look at the global stage. The Afar 18 is one of the Bangladesh Army's go-to units for UN missions. Seriously, they've been everywhere. We're talking Sierra Leone, helping rebuild after a brutal civil war, all the way to the Democratic Republic of Congo, protecting civilians caught in the middle of conflict. In a very real way, they've become a face of Bangladesh to the rest of the world. Okay, so we know what they do, but what does the unit itself look like? Let's pull back the curtain a bit and look at the actual size and structure of the Afar 18. So at full strength, you're looking at about 900 people. But what's really cool isn't just the number. These soldiers, from the officers to the enlisted ranks, they come from all 64 districts of Bangladesh. It makes the battalion a real microcosm, a true cross-section of the entire nation they're sworn to protect. And the way they're organized? It's that classic, clear military chain of command. You've got the commanding officer, a lieutenant colonel, at the very top. Under them, you have company commanders, and under them, platoon commanders. And it goes all the way down to the section commanders. Those are the NCOs leading the small teams doing the work on the ground. So, what's this career actually like for the people in it? Well, a soldier's pay is tied to the national pay scale. Your rank determines your grade, all the way from a newly commissioned officer down to an enlisted soldier. But here's the thing, it's way more than just the base salary. You've got crucial allowances for things like housing, food, and hazardous duty pay. And, as you can imagine, their income gets a pretty big bump when they're sent out on one of those challenging UN missions overseas. Okay, so let's tie this all together. Here's the most important takeaway. Those two stories we started with, they're really just one big story. The name 18 East Bengal isn't a contradiction at all. It represents a very specific modern unit, the 18th Battalion. That battalion is part of the East Bengal Regiment. And that regiment, well, it's part of the Army of Bengal, the nation that was literally born from the historic struggle of, you guessed it, East Bengal. See how it all connects? So think about that for a second. A name that was forged in a fight for independence now belongs to a unit that travels the world keeping the peace. That's a pretty incredible journey, right? From a struggle for national liberation to becoming a symbol of international peacekeeping. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does the story of just this one battalion tell us about how the entire idea of service can change and evolve over time?